Welcome to the Board Game Network. Today I'm going to be reviewing Covert, put out by Kane Klinko and Renegade. This game is a spy type game where you are in control of 3 agents, and your goal is to complete mission cards. You get points based on the mission cards, and so you have to accumulate the equipment and agency cards, and you may have to have some of your agents in a certain city or a certain region, and then you at the end of the game score points based on the mission cards you've got completed. You also can get points by having code cards, and these code cards, if you hold on to the codes and you complete them, they give you equipment, so you can discard to use the equipment to complete missions, or you can just keep them until the end of the game and get 2 points for them. So your mission cards can be partially completed by your code cards with the equipment, or by these agency cards. These things give you equipment also. If you get these, you can discard to get the equipment to complete missions, or you can discard to fly to a city, or discard to get some special ops ability. So that's the basis of this game. You also have special ops counters in here that you can get that give you the same abilities that are on these agency cards. And you can go around picking up intel cubes, and that allows you to get agency cards. And you're placing dice on here based on your die roll. But anyway, I have a how to play video already created, so this is not going to be how to play. I'm just going to give you my review of this game. And I have been a programmer, a computer programmer for years. So I think logically and I think objectively, okay? Not subjectively. Therefore, I have criteria to base my review on. And this is really the first video that I have where I'm going to do this. So make sure you leave comments down below on what you like and whether you think my categories are reasonable or which categories I forgot to review. And so I'm going to go down through each of these categories, tell you my rating for Covert, and give you my why this category, what this category means, give you the total, divide by the number of categories, and then that's going to be my score for this game. So art. I love good art in a board game. When you put out junky art on your board game, I don't think it's as fun to play. I don't know. But I'm an artist. I like art. I love looking at art. The cover on this box, very, very nice. Very nicely done. The map out here, the above and beyond. This one's Tor here. The briefcase here that's all weathered. Everything in here is very nicely, the art on it is very nice. So on my reviews, I'm giving it from 1 to 5, 5 being the best and 1 being the worst, and 3 is an average. So if I give a 3, that's not necessarily negative. That just means it's average among all games, all board games or card games, whatever I'm reviewing. So a 3 would be average. I am rating the art on this, on Covert. Now check this out. Covert on the side, it looks white there, but there is a slick coating on there that spells Covert, and you probably can't see it. But if you hold it up to the light right, you can see it written on there. That is nice. That's awesome. So I'm giving the art on Covert a 5. Component quality. That is how well the parts are made. Do they go above and beyond? Check this out. It's not just a bag you draw from, it's a bag you draw from that has Covert stitched into it. It's not even just printed on it, it's stitching. That is above and beyond. The screens have your reference material in the back, so everybody, instead of asking for the rulebook over and over again to look up stuff, can look on the back of their screen to get that reference material. And the dice have, you know, are numbered dice. They're not just traditional with dots or whatever. So that's just a minor thing. But I am rating the component quality as a 4. Storage. Storage is how well the parts go back in the box when you're done with it. Okay? This is the storage for Covert. Now, they included baggies, which a lot of games now are including baggies, which is very nice if they have enough baggies to be able to sort and separate and do all that kind of stuff. I am going to put the storage on Covert as being a 3. It's average. They did include baggies, which is nice. Some games they put plastic inserts so you can stack your stuff. That's very nice when they do that. But I'd say it's average. Ease of entry. How easy is it to get into this game? Based on the rule book, based on did they set it up well so that when you're reading it you can understand? And I'm putting ease of entry as a 2. And the reason for that is you really, once you play this the first time, you really get halfway through it before you're figuring out what it is you're trying to accomplish. Just because of the way the rule book's written and stuff. And I would say as a general rule, most rule books could use some editing. This one is actually pretty decent. The getting the code, completing the code numbers here, that section, it gives you all the steps, but it fails to tell you that you can do them in any order, which you have to get on Boardgame Geek, and thankfully Kane got in there and clarified that for a question, somebody that asked the question. So I'm putting a 2 on ease of entry just because it's not readily apparent what the goal is when you're trying to do this. There are so many things you can do. There's mission cards, there's agency cards, there's the code, there's these special ops tokens, there's the intel cubes, and all of those things make it so that in the long term, once you've played it 4 or 5 or 10 times, it's still fun, and it's still it hasn't become boring, but it does make it harder to play the game the first few times. Replayability, flexibility, or the dynamic setup to it. Maybe I could compare that to Settlers of Catan, with the board being set up different every time and the numbers being different in a different order each time and stuff like that. That makes it so each game is different. Well, replayability, flexibility, that keeps the game interesting from game to game so that you can continue to play this over time and it still continues to be fun. This game is very flexible in that you have mission cards that require certain equipment. Well, how do you get equipment? Well, you can get equipment by getting code cards. You can get equipment by getting agency cards. How do you get agency cards? Well, you have to put a die on the agency circle track and pick one up. Or you can also pick up intel cubes to pick up. So there's not one right path. There is, there's this path, but if this path is being blocked by another player, go for path B or path C or plan D, and that's flexibility. So I'm giving this game a 4 based on replayability. Startup variety, how the game starts up. Do you always start up in the same place, or do you Do you start in different places so that you have to come up with your own strategy? And I'm giving that a 4 because your agents start in different places. You're drawing cards at the beginning, so there is no best area where, you know, all the red starts here and all the blue starts here or anything. Broad appeal. Is this appealing to a broad audience, or is it very narrow? I would give this a 4, that it is very broad. I think that the genre, you know, what the game is targeting makes it fun for a broad range of people. The length of the game. Length is not directly proportional to how long the game is. In other words, I'm not saying that a long game is bad and a short game is good, or vice versa. What I'm saying is the game too long for the play, or too short for the play? If you have a lot of strategy, but the game is only 20-minute long game, it may be too short for the game itself. It should be a longer game. It should be an hour and a half game. Or is it too long? Are you finding out that halfway through it you're getting bored and you just wish it was over? You know, let's get it over with. Let's go on to a different game. And so length, I would say this is a 4. It is 45 to 90 minutes, about around an hour, hour and a half. And I think it's sustainable at that length of time for the complexity. Originality. How original is the game? Is it just another deck building game set in a different genre? Is it deck building with dragons, or deck building with, you know, spies? Or is it just another worker placement game and nothing really original? They just took something that had already been developed and made a new game. Well, I'm giving the originality a 5 for Covert because it is very original. All the different complexities to it. This is very unique. This circle track here, the code decoding the code cards is very original. So there's several things in here that make it original. Is the game challenging? Do you have to use some brains, some logic, something to sustain the gameplay, or is it roll the dice, move your marker around the edge of the board and buy boardwalk? Okay, so the intellectualness of the game, the challenging the complexity and the challenge to the game, I'll give that a 5. The value based on the parts. All of your games cost a certain amount. This one, at this point when I'm making this, has a retail value of $60. So the price of games have gone up in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years. A lot. Well, I'm looking at the parts. You got cards, you got the wooden pieces, you've got the die, you've got the bag, all that stuff. Does that sustain the $60 price tag? And I would say, you know what? It's about average. I'm not going to open this up and say, oh gee, I expected this to be a $30 game, or I expected it to be an $80 game. I'd say it's around a $60 game, and that's what they priced it at. So I'm giving it a 3 for value. Now, my last category is fun. All those other categories don't really make or break a game. How fun is the game to play? Is it a fun game? Now this one, I am giving a 4 out of 5. So I really do like this game. It is very fun. And I am going to double count fun. So I have 12 categories, and I'm going to multiply this one times 2 in my final, because really, if you have great art and great component quality and broad appeal and all that stuff, but it's not fun, then fun should count double at least, and I've considered counting it more than double, but at this point I'm counting it double, so that's going to be 8 points towards my total. So I have 51 points in my categories. Divide by 13 and I come up with a 3.9 rating for Covert. 3.9 out of 5. Remember, 3 is an average. So I really like this game. It's well done and it's going to be on my shelf for a long time. Make sure you tune into all of our videos here at the Board Game Network, and make sure you watch for our reviews so that you can compare one game versus another game. And make sure you let me know in the comments down below where you think I am. Am I on target with this game, or did I give something too high or too low of a value for my rating? Make sure you tune into all of our videos at the Board Game Network.